All right, what is up? Let me just make sure it's recording. All right, it's recording. What's up, fam? We have Indra here. He's a faithful member. You've been around for 2 years now, right? At least something like that.
Yeah, my first event was the Christmas party up in
yeah, so almost a little more than 2 years. So, or close to a year and a half ish, right? Depending on which. Well, actually, we didn't even have one, but either way, Indra's been faithful, coming to a lot of our events, bringing some of his kids as well. So he just wanted to check out FSD, specifically this route that I guess on Navigate on Autopilot he has issues with. So this is FSD Beta 8.2 2021.4.11.1, and we're in the V9 drought. We're all waiting for it. But yeah, you want to share a little bit about what cars you have, or how you got involved in this whole Tesla thing?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, my EV journey started with in 2014 when I got my first Leaf, and then
yeah, so it's not all right. I'm gonna have to disengage. It's been having issues with those turns, so I sent that in. So you press this button up here, and then I'm gonna re-engage.
Good, okay.
Yeah, so
yeah, this is my first time sitting in the beta FSD, so this is pretty wild for me. I'm pretty freaked out and excited.
yeah.
So the Leaf was a lease, and then I got a Volt.
Okay.
Is it doing this by itself?
Yeah, I'm literally not doing anything, keeping my hands engaged. Here. So.
And then of course, you know, I got permission from my wife to get a Tesla. And that was that. But I tell you, you know, Tesla has been good to me.
Yeah.
After driving it for 2 weeks, I knew it was something special that was not, you know, commonplace, and I started actually buying stock.
Oh, good for you, man.
So rest is history. And I continue to accumulate.
Yeah, well, good. I mean, it's been kind of a stock price has kind of been wild recently. But before we go, as we kind of transition, what are you typically seeing on Navigate on Autopilot?
So this exit is going to go north on 17 that we are on right now, and then it'll head towards Mountain View. And that is a kind of a very weird exit. So it first takes the exit, and then it goes off Navigate on Autopilot into you know, auto steer mode. And then of course the auto steer does not convert to Navigate on Autopilot, even though, because it requires a lane change. And so you have to basically take it off auto steer, go into the lane, and then re-engage. And it's pretty nasty. So this is this route cannot be handled by Navigate on Autopilot from what I can tell.
Okay.
So let's see if this thing can do it.
Yeah, we can. We'll see. I think so yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it's the full turn right here, right? It's literally like...
Yeah, so it'll...
Yep. Okay.
It's not straightforward. It looks straightforward here.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking... I know exactly what you're talking about, but I never go back to that part of the exit, so I don't really have to do it as much, but...
So just stick to this lane, and then I think it will go back into FSD Beta.
Okay. Did that smoothly. So it's still in the
Navigate.
Yep, exactly. So here is it typically fine for you on this part right here?
This part is so far so good.
Okay.
And then it should drop out soon.
Okay. So we'll find out.
And this is where it gets interesting.
Okay. Well, it's again initiating all this by itself.
Okay.
Yeah. Check that out.
So this lane change does not happen for me.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, it did that. And then does it have any other issues when it's trying to change the lanes?
No, actually it will miss that other one too.
Okay. Well, we got
a merge over here.
Halfway there then. So yeah, well, that's cool. Glad that, I mean, the only Navigate on Autopilot thing that I've really seen. Okay, so it's gonna go here.
Yeah, this is another one that misses.
It's initiating it, so I'm giving it the nudge and it's moving over.
Okay, so So FSD Beta does it.
Yeah.
FSD Beta does it.
So the only navigate on autopilot that I've actually seen, the biggest update that I've seen, has only been phantom braking. It's pretty much stopped. I don't know if do you have that issue at all?
I do, but
so,
it's not as frequent anymore.
Yeah,
it used to be a lot more frequent.
Yeah, so at least on the beta, because I've had this since October, and it's literally not doing it. So, yeah. Well, either way, I'm glad. At least this gives you encouragement.
This is definitely a huge step forward.
Yeah. So we don't even have to go to the target. What we can do is, if we want, we can even just like, let's exit, and then what I'll do is let's just get, because I'll just stick this, drop the pin, navigate there, because you've seen navigate on autopilot, but let's get your reactions on the beta, right? So just getting more of the side streets and things like that. But at least we know that there's one thing that navigate on autopilot cannot do, and that this, FSD Beta can do. So that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah.
So I'm actually very curious as to when we do get V9, how that compares to this, because I'd love to be able to put them side by side.
Well, this is on recording, so we'll be able to know. But yeah, it's just like, so the weird things that I see with FSD Beta that I actually just posted a video right before you came. And the issues that I saw were similar to the ones you just saw, where it literally like doesn't know to, like, when it's making a right, it will still think to go straight, and then it'll start to try to cut over. So obviously I have to disengage, and then I sent that in. But that has been happening a little bit more frequently. And so I mean, what we're all hearing is the limited V9 or whatever they end up releasing should be a game changer, right? So I hope, because at least, going from 8.0 to 8.1 to 8.2, it's just been minor differences, right? Obviously, it's gotten a lot better since the early release on October 21st, when it was first released to the public. But yeah, we'll see,
Do you have a theory on what happened between 8.2 and 8.3? Which was supposed to come out to the broader...
I think what happened is they decided in that migration that they were going to get rid of the radar. Right? So I think that's what happened. And if you do that, you're essentially getting rid of half of like what, the code is probably all built off of. So this is switching into the FSD Beta 9 visualization. And then actually in this view, I adjusted it because some of you wanted to see the full steering wheel. So you can see the full steering wheel. I think the part you can't see is the bottom. But again, the big thing is to look out for the steering wheel here, right?
Right.
And obviously Indra's here, so he can just even vouch for the fact that I'm not driving. But, obviously very cautious, ready to take over.
I have to admit, I have got very mixed feelings about getting rid of the radar.
Yeah,
I know what Elon said, that if you have a decision made by vision and it is contradictory to what the radar says, which one do you believe? I buy that argument.
Yeah.
But the whole notion of being able to see two cars ahead of you by bouncing it off the road is not something you can duplicate with vision. I'm not sure.
I think it's just more of like in snow and some of these other things where you can't do that, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's the only thing. But ultimately, the one thing, you've been a muskhead for a while. I guess that's what they call us.
Yes.
I think the big thing with that is, and by the way, that was your first left turn, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the beta. But I think the biggest thing is that I trust these guys, so I know. So it's trying to make a lane change. There's a car here.
Totally agree. I trust.
There it goes, and it literally made it got in the left lane by itself. It's going. But yeah, I'm just like, there's just stuff that is going to be way over my head and beyond my understanding. And it's cool that it also knows that it needs to stay here instead of, because it's going to be making a left at this fruit veil over here.
That's right.
So it's cool it knows this kind of terrain. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is like, I kind of just have to defer to the experts on that stuff. But some of the nerds out there that can just geek out on lidar and all this other stuff, like that's beyond me.
Agreed. No, I trust him. I just don't want to second guess him, but I remain curious.
Yeah, and I think the big thing too, I mean, you know, you're part of the Silicon Valley chapter, right? I think the biggest thing is, and obviously you don't need to state whether you are a part of it or not because of the NDA stuff, but you know, we had a bunch of people, so this is cool, stopped here. But the big thing is that, you know, we have a whole bunch of members that were added, and you know, that was almost 2 months ago, if not more, and it's like there was all this hype around it, and then it got delayed, but I think it's because of the radar being, you know, deprecated. But what is a little bit worrisome about, I think it's just the bigger fact is that this is all taking longer than we all expected.
That's
just like anything else. But I think that, I mean, you're seeing enough of this now where we know it's here, it's just about refinement. And I think that, as Elon said, that 0.99, or even for it to go from 8.2 to V9, like leaps and bounds, there's a lot of things that need to happen right, you know?
Well, let's put it this way. Elon said it's going to blow your mind, and my mind is ready to get blown.
Yeah, I know. I know. What'll be interesting too is this, you see this curb here? Let's see if it goes around it. I think it's, ooh, it went around it. Good for you, Beta.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I was actually worried.
Nice.
I was ready to take the hit on the rim.
That wouldn't be your first, would
Yeah, it wouldn't be. I'm actually getting them repainted and everything. So, yeah, I think we have some time. Let's just, I'm gonna go up here. You have time?
Yeah. I love the way you just pick a spot and then just drive there.
Yeah.
It's just pretty wild.
Yeah. So I think that's the cool thing. But yeah, so you've had 2 or 3 left turns now, something like that. But yeah, I mean, and are you somewhat familiar with the visualization and how it all works?
Kind of, but
yeah,
I still haven't figured out when is it a blue box and when is it a yellow box and a green box?
Well, so what the vision is doing, and obviously what the vision is doing is it's looking, and obviously it's still, I think it's still using the radar through this, right? Because the V9 should be without the radar, but it's looking through the lens and it's identifying everything. So it's seeing those curbs over there and it marks that red. And then anywhere where you can essentially make a left or something like that, or medians, it's purple.
That's purple. Okay.
Cars in front of you are green typically. Ones to the right of you are typically either blue or red. So that's typically how, but everything's color coordinated, if that makes sense.
So the green car is typically the dark gray in the current Navigate on Autopilot. You think that might be right?
That might be right, yeah. Yep. So now this car is getting over to the other lane, turns blue.
Gone, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so everything is color coordinated because it's all vision, right? It's like looking at things. I mean, it can even see the trash cans and some of these other things, but it's looking at everything and it's identifying it. And the beauty of it too, the good and the bad, right, is it wants to stay in the middle. So as you saw it kind of shift back there, but I know it well enough now where I trust it. So it's like kind of whatever.
In fact, it used to do that a lot more in Navigate on Autopilot, and they kind of took care of that, because when I got the car in May of 19, it would freak my wife off because whenever the white line on the right side would deviate, if a lane was merging in or something like that, it would go swing over to the other side and then come back in. But that's completely stopped. But it did a little bit of that.
Those are I actually talked to Sandy Monroe about that, but he was saying it you know, he blamed it on more of like the road construction versus like the autopilot, on like how things were split. But either way, yeah, I think this I don't really have like crazy sharp turns or anything like that, right? But also too, I'm like ready to take over at any point.
Right.
All right, so we have a person here. It's coming to stop.
This is a very interesting junction here.
Yep, exactly. So this is, I think, an unprotected left-hand turn. Then we have a construction worker over here on the right.
And it is identifying that person with a green box around him.
Exactly.
He's doing some markings on the road.
Yeah. So typically it'll just go around, but he could be gone. By the time it turns green, it'll be gone. And see how he got onto the median?
Yeah.
It's now yellow.
It's now yellow, yes.
So it's just interesting.
This is the real-time labeling that they talk about.
Exactly, yes, and it just switched to blue. right?
Yep. Yep.
So that person's probably been sitting there a while. So maybe when it was green, it was like, okay, we'll still like pay attention a little bit. And then when he's been sitting there, so it even sees the car down there, and it kind of slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it went. So that's awesome. And then
it decided to go to the right lane.
Yep. Because it knows the right lane's coming up soon.
Oh yes, you got a right turn coming up.
Yeah.
This is sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, but yeah, as you said, right? Like, it's making those real-time assumptions, and sometimes, for the most part, the assumptions about the people are right, but sometimes it's a little bit too cautious, which is probably better in this case of humans.
Yep.
But a lot of times, so we're gonna make a right here. It's gonna go a little bit far out. So one thing that Beta doesn't do, we even have a person here. It'll go around. Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Those ones it handles pretty well. It's just going to be...
The slight difference between the human and FSD Beta is that right turn it just made. It was more of a sharp right turn as compared to a diagonal merge in the right turn.
So the one thing it won't do is it won't go over bike lanes to make right turns. For better or for worse. So it's a little bit rough on this little turn here, but handled it well. I mean, I know you've probably seen some of my videos, but it actually handles mountainous roads probably like the best out of like all the stuff that I've.
Job, yeah.
And we even have this person here, so this will be interesting. So, wow.
Oh, this is wild. This doesn't even have markings.
Doesn't even have markings.
Oh God.
So I'm going to slow down a little bit to 20 just because my own comfort level. So that's one manual adjustment, just because I also don't want to be... Because sometimes it'll go a little fast up these hills. But I just want to stick with my comfort level. These cars are not cheap to be testing out on. So, but yeah, that was awesome, huh?
That was awesome.
Okay. So here we literally have a one-lane road.
Oh, this one is a narrow road. It's just one person, one lane.
Yep, and I'm ready to literally take over at any point if I feel like it's getting too close to this side specifically.
The thing is, you have to be driving it to be able to know what to expect.
Yep.
And that's why this whole new thing about Volkswagen trying to do an hourly rental on autopilot, I don't buy it. Because if somebody getting it for 2 hours is not going to trust it enough, won't know enough about it to let it take over.
Yeah. I think, I do think that there's going to be kind of like the Uber model, though, of where like autopilot may just ask you, hey, want me to finish the ride home because you're in traffic or something if you didn't buy it. It may, okay.
Oh, that was
awesome. A little quick, but
yeah.
It's, I mean, like I said, it's just
a tight turn there.
I trust it a lot on these like mountainous roads, but yeah, I do see the potential for the Uber model to come out where, okay, so which route is it going to go? Okay, it's going to go up and over. That's good. So I do see the Uber models being like, hey, let me finish the rest of your drive. I'll charge you $5.
Yes.
Let me take over. So, I mean, who knows? Yeah, the hourly, but I think in my opinion, okay, it took that a little quick for my comfort, but it's doing all of it. So this is epic.
This is wild.
Wow. Just handle that. Okay, well, we're at our destination, so I'm going to turn around here. And then let's go back in here a little bit. Well, yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, so who knows what they'll... Oh,
what is that?
Probably my tow hitch. Good thing it's a tow hitch, right? Okay, just this round.
I suppose you could have raised it up if you had known.
Yeah, well, I would have had to take it out because you can't raise the tow hitch. Oh, you mean the car?
The car,
yeah. Oh, well. All right, so let's see if I can go to Starbucks. Let's go back to the Starbucks we started at.
There's probably others. So you're a big one.
Yeah, let's go to... Hold on, let me see.
Awesome, and that's the one I think you want.
Yeah. go. And again, the manual entry that I just did, I dropped it from 25 to 20. So that's just my own, again, personal preference. So one interesting thing is that, like, even though it doesn't need to put on the blinker, it does. You know, it'll put on the blinker like
whenever it's doing
yeah,
that.
exactly. When it kind of thinks it's doing a turn, but not really. But other than that, you know.
Your foot is not on the brake; it's doing its braking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything. So if I hit, you want me to hit the brake? I can show you.
No, it'll take it off.
Yes.
I know what will happen if you touch the
yeah,
brake.
yeah. I just have my foot literally ready to take over, just because, you know, obviously this is a mountainous road.
By the way, I have to say that, you know, watching these videos that you put out there is only second to driving yourself.
Yep.
But it gives you a sense of what to expect when the car is dealt a certain set of circumstances. So as and when these FSD is released to the rest of the public, I would encourage everyone to spend a bunch of time just going over these videos, because it does help a lot.
Yeah, and I think some of the, you know, like I said, I'm not a professional videographer, so like a lot of my, and more so, even a lot of my testing is like more mountainous roads and around like residential and like kind of like smaller town areas, like suburbs. That's kind of my testing, where some of the other ones are like, you know, doing a lot more and kind of doing, you know, the city, things like that. But that's kind of not the route I've been taking with my testing. But everyone's kind of different, and that's the great thing about it, right?
Yep.
But so yeah, I think if you want to see, it depends on where you live, right? If you live up in San Francisco, maybe check out Omar's blog, or AI Driver. He's been doing a lot of great testing as well. James Locke down in Los Angeles. So there's a lot of like, and then Dirty Tesla out in Michigan.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like, and then Earl, who lives out in, all right, so we're gonna make a left here. Earl, who lives out in Ohio. So I'm not even pressing the accelerator.
Yeah,
but this whole drive, I've not literally pressed the accelerator or the brake.
I love the way it creeps up, looks just like you and I would, and then it moves.
Yeah, it's awesome. And that's the great thing, right? Like you being in this drive, this is as so let's try to figure out, okay, which way is it going. Let's go up a little bit and then stop again. Okay.
Yes.
So in one of these situations, I probably should press the accelerator. I think that's what I need to do. So I press the accelerator there. I don't know why it stopped there.
You're not going to send that in?
Yeah, press that. Okay. So here's one of those weird things where it's kind of like all over the place, right? Good call on that. But anytime you actually press the accelerator, they get that information as well.
Good point. Yeah.
You know, but the videos are important too. And then what happens is you'll notice. Okay, so let's go. Sorry, just this more left turn here. So there's this car here.
It does have its own lane on the right.
Yep.
It still wants to clear traffic.
Yep, exactly. And it did it. It's awesome.
Nice.
It's going up. Okay, it's a little slow, and then now it's speeding up. Policeman trying to catch people speeding. Thankfully, I'm with FSD. You really only drive the speed limit. But yeah, what were we talking about before? I don't even remember.
No, I was talking about the fact that I like the fact that it actually stops, looks just like you and me before it,
exactly.
Before it moves forward.
Yep. And then in some of the situations, it's a little bit too slow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's you know, it's different every single time, but
you know, I've been doing Route 17 to Santa Cruz on you know, Navigate on Autopilot quite a bit. And of course,
how's that been?
It's been good. It goes into, you know, auto steer mode right after Los Gatos.
Yep.
And I've noticed that it has a unique way of slowing down on turns, even on the highway. It's very
pretty robotic.
Robotic, exactly robotic.
Yeah.
Robotic is the right word. In fact, my wife gets motion sick.
Yep.
And in
I can
auto
relate.
steer,
Yep.
she will never get motion sick.
Yep.
Because it takes it a lot slower than anybody else.
Yeah.
I have to drive in the right lane to do that.
Yeah, no, my son, like, for example, I was actually I went up to Boulder Creek on this, like, crazy road, and I was trying to use FSD, and I had my son with me. He got sick. Because it's very robotic. Like, very, like, like 90-degree turn. You know what I mean? It's not like a human kind of, like, going through quite yet. It's a little bit more, like, hard left, hard right type-ish turns.
This is interesting. It did not take the traffic light. It's taking one of the side roads.
Yeah. Okay, so here's an interesting example, okay? So this... Stop. Okay, I'm going to take over. Yeah, I don't want to find out. So, in those cases, like, that person was clearly, yeah. That's why this is beta. You know, if he was a little bit further back, I may have like given it the benefit of the doubt, or hit the accelerator, but it's just not worth it.
I think this was conservative, but the safer thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. So here's these turns are hard because literally, like,
the visibility is definitely
pretty
challenged because it's
Yep. I have no idea why it just stopped right there. But it's still pretty crazy that it's doing all this, right?
It is. So do you have any sense of what Elon is saying when he says it's going to blow your mind? I think this is pretty mind-blowing in itself.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be leaps and bounds, man. I mean, you've seen some of the... you just saw that, right?
Yeah.
Like, that stuff I think will have to go away. Or the fact that, like, you know, like, you saw my first disengagement on that right turn. That's going to probably go away. I think it's just going to be... I hope... like what I'm believing. So we have an unprotected left-hand turn here, and it's waiting for the cross traffic, and it's going. So I think it's just going to be just super flawless. Yeah, it got a little close to the curb there. I was watching that. And then here's one of those weird situations where there's parts of this street that are 15 miles an hour, but traffic always goes 25 here, so I sped it up a little bit. Here's like, yeah, exactly. But it's trying to, that's that weird thing.
Yeah.
So this is the issue I had in snow. The snow bank was on the far right because they pushed the snow all the way over, and there was no lane technically. So it was trying to literally go in the middle of the snow bank and this mark here, right? So, okay, so we're gonna make a right here. Yeah, so it's one of those weird things where that's one of the other issues too, right? So I think,
like, here is one place where I would have expected to move into the intersection a little sooner than FSD Beta did.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I think the bigger thing is it's definitely a lot more cautious than probably you and I would be.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
But with that said, imagine if everyone's on this is driving this. I mean, how many lives are going to be saved?
Yep.
I mean, it's not ideal because, like, there's sometimes where it's like, you know, my son or someone has an appointment and you just need to get to a certain time, and I can't. I got to speed up a little bit more, right? But, you know.
But the thing is, if everyone is running FSD, then the reaction times will be predictable between algorithms, and they won't have as much randomness that humans have.
Yep.
That's a long time away.
Yeah, I know, right? Even if Tesla figures it out, I mean, not everyone's going to own a Tesla.
And even among the people who are owning a Tesla, not everybody's going to use the FSD, even if they've paid for it.
Exactly.
I know friends who have paid for it and don't use it.
Oh, the autopilot?
Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah. autopilot.
Terminology. We got to do something about the terminology.
I know, right? Yeah. We made it here.
We're back to where we started.
Yeah, I know. So it's trying to take me around, but I'll probably just cancel it up here. You gonna get some coffee now?
I think I will.
Yeah, I got some time. Let me kill this. Thanks for tuning in, guys.